I want to use the skills that we already know to build molecules. This can be done in a stepwise strategy using Lewis structures. First, I want to talk about a few terms that we'll use. I'm going to use diatomic hydrogen to describe this. So far, we've described a bond by putting two dots in between the elements. In a Lewis structure, we can represent these two dots by simply putting a dashed line in between the two atoms. This dashed line represents what we call bonding electrons. Another term of electrons are what we call lone pair electrons, and this is represented by two dots. And these are electrons that are not bonded. An example would be water. So writing a Lewis structure for water, we would have two lone pairs, one right here and one right here, and two bonding electrons, one right here and one right here. I want to compare the different types of drawings and representations of molecules. Here's the formula where we just have H2O, where the subscript 2 represents how many elements. This would represent the Lewis dots, where there are two electrons that bond the hydrogen to the oxygen for each hydrogen. With the dash, it's automatically assumed that a dash has two electrons in it. So the dash between the hydrogen and the oxygen has two electrons in it. Each dash equals two electrons. So an example of a molecule like this, a single bond right here would have two electrons, and a double bond with two dashes would have four electrons. A molecule like this would have 6 electrons where the dashes are, 2 electrons for each dash, so 2, 4, 6. So there would be 6 bonding electrons here, and these would be the lone pairs. Here there would be 4 bonding electrons right here, and in the single bonds there would be 2 bonding electrons. Here's a comparison of bonds using electron dots and the dashed line. Water has a single bond, which you can see with 2 electrons represented with the electron dots, and the dashed line just has a dashed line. With a double bond, there would be 4 electrons with the electron dots right here, and with the dashed line, there's 2 dashed lines. With the triple bond, there would be 6 electrons, 2, 4, 6 right here. And with the dashed lines, we just use 3 single dash lines. The electron pairs are the same on both models. You can see it's obviously more cumbersome writing electron dots, and it makes really quick work of writing out molecules when we can just write a dashed line. So we have 2 terms, bonding electrons and lone pair electrons. Bonding electrons are represented by a dash, and they have 2 electrons in each dash, and a dash represents a bond between 2 atoms. The other term is what is called lone pair electrons, and they're exactly what they sound like. They are lone pairs of electrons. We've talked about single bonds, double bonds, and triple bonds. These are really 2 categories of bonds. A single bond is called a sigma bond, and a double and triple bond are called pi bonds.